Chapter 1, Transmigration and the System. Inside a small dilapidated house, a handsome, thin Asian boy stood in front of a mirror with a gloomy face. He suddenly got influx of foreign memories and tried to calm down. The teenager clenched his fists and said with a twisted face, "Fuck. His name is Li Xiu. He is not from this world. He transmigrated into this foreign world. It's just that this transmigration, he doesn't want it at all." After all, before the transmigration, he had established his dream company and was a certified millionaire. Just as he was about to dive into the lavish lifestyle and indulge himself in his hard-earned riches, this happened. Definitely, it's not the most important thing. Most importantly, he has crossed into the dangerous world of Marvel, which seems like a crossover world of the boys, and primarily is also an ordinary person without any ability. According to the memory of the predecessor, in this world Tony Stark just revealed his identity as Iron Man to the whole world, causing a sensation in the whole world. And Captain America has long since become a symbol of bravery and glory. There is no need to say more about the dangers of the Marvel world. Apocalyptic events are emerging one after another. Ordinary people have no sense of security in this world. Because you don't know, if you survive today, you may die tomorrow. Walking on the road, maybe you will encounter a supervillain and bam, you are dead. Suddenly, Li Xiu felt a chill down his spine. That is, this world has also integrated the world of the boys. In his impression, Homelander and other VOD heroes have been on TV several times, and they are already well-known superstar heroes. Damn, most of the superhumans in the world of the boys are a group of psychopaths. These perverts are even more dangerous than supervillains. After all, the supervillain still has superhero to catch. As for the perverts in the boys, there is a capital giant bot that manipulates the media and has a very clean image. This makes this group of perverts more unscrupulous and darker. These people start, and ordinary people can't avenge their death. It can be said that this world is extremely dangerous, and if you are not careful, you won't know how you died. Maybe you are walking down a street and came across a horny Homelander. Shudder. And he is an ordinary person with no money, no top IQ, no super ability, and he belongs to a group called mobs. Except being quite handsome, there are no other advantages. At this moment, suddenly, a message popped up on the phone. Mayor of Baltimore, Carolyn Kaczynski's private plane was attacked by terrorists and crashed. Congressman and his only son were both killed. Below is a photo of a bald middle-aged man with his son. See here. Li Xiu's eyelids jumped. He remembered the event. This air crash is not because of terrorists, but because of Homelander. Because this guy threatened the VOT with the black material on the company. As a result, Homelander was dispatched and directly cut off the entire plane. A mayor was killed, and this can be suppressed. The power of VOT is indeed a bit terrifying. Li Xiu felt even more horrified and insecure. Just at this time, ding! Bind the Super Life Simulator system. This system will simulate the future of the host. Subsequently, a line of words appeared in front of his eyes. Do you want to perform the first simulation? Hearing this, Li Xiu's pupils shrank. Immediately, there was boundless joy in my heart. System, travelers must have Goldfinger. Sure enough, there is no way out. Now that there is Goldfinger, the crossing of Li Xiu can be accepted. What about simulating the future? That is to say, he can see the future? If so, can he avoid the risk in advance? Thinking of this, Li Xiu clamped down for a moment. Immediately he said, simulate. A line of words emerged. Please choose your simulation ability. You can choose up to 3, and below this line is a series of options in different colors. Most of them are white, such as sports student, poor boy, passionate and cheerful, and so on. Only a few are green and blue. Green ability, calm, athlete, little fortune. Blue ability, little luck. After taking a look at the contents of these abilities, he understood. Among the 3 colors, white is the least effective ability, or even a debuff, which will produce bad effects. Just like poor boy. Poor boy, you only have $10 left at the start. At the beginning of the loss, there are 10 yuan left, and it is properly cursed. Green is better, basically no bad effect. For example, calm. Calm, when you encounter things, you are more calm than ordinary people. Blue works best. He asked about the system. Understand the division of ability. Starting from the worst, it is divided into 5 ability levels: white, green, blue, purple, and gold. Among them, gold is the top ability. But he didn't get out this time. In addition, the ability is refreshed immediately. The higher the level, the smaller the chance of being refreshed. He immediately selected 3 abilities: little luck, athlete, and calm. A blue ability. Little luck, you always have some little luck on you. This ability can make him a little luckier. Although luck is a mysterious thing, good luck can always give people unexpected joy. 2 green abilities. Athlete, you have outstanding motor nerves and physical fitness. Calm, when you encounter things, you are more calm than ordinary people. His current physique is too weak, and a better physique will allow him to better deal with this dangerous world. Calmness is a very good character, which can make him more calmly deal with more events. Ability selection complete. Start the simulation. Chapter 2, Sidem is faulty. Day 1, your class has a transfer student, Gwen Stacy. On your way home from school, you find Gwen being molested by a group of gangsters. Your conscience can't ignore it, you can decide to protect her. With the blessing of your outstanding motor nerves and strong physique, you have beaten thugs black and blue. You're hurt a little bit, but you've won Gwen's favor. When you get home, fearing for the gangster's revenge, you start exercising like crazy. Well. From his memory, he had a classmate named Gwen Stacy, but there was no Peter Parker. Otherwise, he was about to think that he would encounter a Spider-Man plot. Being able to deal with so many gangsters is mainly due to the ability of that athlete. Otherwise, with his current thin body, he would simply seek abuse when going up. The next day, you continue to exercise frantically, and at the same time, you continue to be in contact with Gwen, and the two have some subtle feelings. Dude, he's got a feeling for Gwen so soon? Is this him? What's the matter? He is a moral guy. I'm afraid this emulator is inaccurate. Am I so superficial? Li Xiu was speechless, and immediately continued to watch the next simulation. Day 5, a supervillain Frozone infiltrated your school and ended up killing 4 people. You're lucky, Frozone didn't hurt you. However, when you saw your classmates die in front of you, you felt a little depressed. Seeing that something is wrong with you, Gwen comes up to comfort you. When you get home, you continue to work out like crazy. After the simulation on the 2nd day, it jumped directly to the 5th day. Seeing this simulation, Li Xiu's eyelids jumped. Good guy, worthy of the Marvel world. On the 5th day he crossed over, he encountered a supervillain. But fortunately there was no danger. Seeing this, Li Xiu touched his chin. The incident was a near miss, and it seemed that the ability a bit of luck played a role. Without this luck, maybe he would be injured, or even become an icicle. Thinking of this, Li Xiu narrowed his eyes slightly. Since the school was in danger, after 5 days, it seemed necessary for him to avoid this danger zone. He was in conflict whether to attend school or avoid it. But he still understands the truth that in this you may die while pooping. In addition, Gwen seems to be a little caring, and can easily comfort him. But Li Xiu still didn't think he would fall in love with her. After all, Li Xiu was not that kind of superficial person. Day 7, under the frantic exercise, you seem to be stronger, and you are a little happy. At the same time, your relationship with Gwen is heating up quickly. Day 21, after exercising during this period, you find that it is difficult for you to go further. After all, you already have the physique of an athlete. Frustrated by this discovery, you start trying to find ways to strengthen yourself. Gwen discovers you were feeling down and comforts you gently. You were very touched, and the distance between you closed, and to repay her you brought her to your house. After a session of rigorous dual exercise, you have both lost your V card and become closer. Seeing the first half, Li Xiu frowned slightly. Are you for real? He clenched fists in frustration. He is an ordinary person after all, and his body is already at the level of an athlete. It's hard to keep improving. Just being an ordinary person in this world, he is not reconciled no matter what. He continued to watch. Just looking at the back, the style of painting suddenly changed. Li Xiu's face was full of question marks. In order to repay her kindness, I did what? Exercised with her? What repaying ain't that being greedy for her body? No. Am I Li Xiu such a person? What is the meaning of this simulator? It makes him seem like a playboy? Is he Li Xiu so easy? He felt that the simulator seemed to misunderstand him quite a bit. He continued to look down. Day 22, you continue to look for powerful methods and find nothing. At night, you brought Gwen home again and continued to repay. Li Xiu's face is green. Is he so hungry? How could he not know? There is absolutely something wrong with this emulator? And, maybe, his 18-year-old body is too fiery. It's normal for a young man to be lustful, not to mention that he has a top physique. This is the fault of the body. Yes, that's it. Li Xiu touched his nose with a little uncertainty. Day 23, you achieve no results. Tonight, you didn't take Gwen home, you sneaked straight into Gwen's house. After some repayment, Gwen's father, the director, was alerted, and the other party was so angry that he took out a gun. Under Gwen's protection, you escape. Seeing the first half of the sentence, I didn't bring Gwen home. Li Xiu nodded in approval. How can someone who has achieved great things indulge in trivial things like love? As expected of him, Li Xiu. But seeing the second half of the sentence, Li Xiu fell silent. Dude, what the fuck is happening? Damn, is this really him, Li Xiu? Impossible, he is definitely not such a person. Li Xiu touched his nose again. Could it be that this woman is too beautiful and enchanting? Maybe. Day 24, after what happened last night, Gwen was grounded. No one is there to accompany you at night. You feel a little uncomfortable. Li Xiu. He just wanted to rush in and beat some sense in him. There should be something wrong with this emulator. Li Xiu is definitely not such a person. Chapter 3, the physique comes to reality. 25th day, after a few days of practice, you gain nothing, and your heart was even more depressed and uncomfortable. Today, your class went to visit a biotechnology company, and there were some mutant spiders in it. Soon, Gwen was bitten by a mutant spider, and you could feel some inexplicable changes in her. This familiar scene, you suddenly have a clear understanding. You may not have met Spider-Man, but Spider-Woman. The opportunity to become stronger is at hand, but it is also full of risks. You should consider it. Step up and let the spider bite you, and you're instantly dead. Shock. Li Xiu immediately restrained his emotions and thought solemnly. Fucking great. Bitten by a mutant spider and dead. He frowned as he carefully watched the simulation process. Gwen did not die immediately after being bitten. In addition, in the simulation, he also felt inexplicable changes in Gwen. Bitten by a mutant spider, and there are inexplicable changes on his body. Add Gwen's original name. Looking at it this way, it is indeed exactly the same as what happened to Spider-Woman. In other words, Gwen is Spider-Woman? It's just that what makes him a little bit puzzled is that Gwen was fine when he was bitten, he died on the spot when he was bitten. After all, Gwen is not Peter, and her parents are not scientists. It stands to reason that these mutant spiders are not in her blood. So why is Gwen okay if he bites, but he hangs up after he bites? Is there no chance of becoming like Spider-Man? Li Xiu remembers that many superhero variant settings are blessed with great luck. The reason why these superhero can succeed is because they are very lucky. They just grasped the extremely small probability of 1 in a million or maybe 1 in a billion, and finally mutated successfully. The rest of the people who tried the same ended up in graves. Thinking of this, Li Xiu's eyes twitched slightly. In other words, is he basically unable to obtain the spider ability? As the simulation ends, new text emerges. This simulation is over. Simulation level, D. The simulation level is less than B, and there is no simulation reward. The number of simulation days is less than 1 month, and the cooling time is 1 hour. Save the current strength to the host. Please select one of the 3 simulation abilities to inherit. The inherited ability will definitely appear in the next simulation. Note, an ability can only be inherited 3 times in a row. After 3 inheritances, it will re-enter random mode. Next moment. A powerful heat flow poured into Li Xiu's body. Li Xiu can clearly feel that every cell in the body is rapidly getting stronger. After a while, that heat flow disappeared. Li Xiu could clearly feel that his body was full of explosive power, which was in stark contrast to just now. He looked into the mirror. The handsome face inside was more angular and more sturdy. At the same time, his original modest clothes also became a little tighter, revealing sturdy muscles. The figure has become strong and stylish, in sharp contrast to the previous thin body. Coupled with his height of 1.89 meters, he looks slender and stylish. He took off his clothes, and there were streamlined muscles. The 8-pack abs are also angular. At least he got a Chad body from this. A great man should find happiness in small things. Interestingly, the whole personality has also undergone earth-shaking changes. Gives a more robust and confident feeling. Looking at this strong and powerful body, a smile appeared on Li Xiu's face. Is this his gold finger? Ability to feed back simulated physical fitness into reality. That is to say, if he obtains super ability in simulation, he can also have it in reality. This is not impossible. On top of blue, there are 2 levels of ability, purple and gold. If he gets an ability that is against the sky and gets bitten by a mutant spider, wouldn't he have a high chance of getting the spider ability? Thinking of this, he suddenly felt a little more confident about the future. He looked at the words again. His impersonation grade this time is D. He asked, "What do you mean by this grading?" The system replied, "It is to score the simulation. D is the lowest rating. If the rating reaches the B level and above, you can get simulation rewards, and you can solidify the simulation ability to the real world. Grade B can assimilate blue ability, Grade A can assimilate purple ability, and Grade S can bring back golden ability. The ability solidified on the body will only affect the reality, and will not affect the subsequent simulation in the future. However, the ability after assimilation can still randomly appear again in the simulation ability selection, and then be used in simulations." Hearing this, Li Xiu was stunned for a moment, and then his heart burst into joy. Good guy, you can also solidify the ability in reality. If he can solidify a golden luck, wouldn't his real luck be bursting? How many millions can you win by drawing a lottery ticket? When the time comes to be bitten by a spider, or inject a strengthening serum, will it be successful in minutes? Even if it is not the golden ability of luck, other golden abilities are not too bad. Being able to solidify it on himself would definitely be of great benefit to him. The only shortcoming of the ability that is fixed on the body is that it cannot affect the trend of sims. For example, little luck if solidified, it will affect his luck in reality, but cannot affect the luck in sims. However, even after little luck is assimilated, it can continue to appear in the simulation ability randomly. As long as this sim ability is selected, it will continue to affect the luck in sims. Fortunately, the ability after curing has not completely disappeared, otherwise it will be a loss for future simulations. After seeing that his simulation level is D, his mood turned sour. In order to solidify the golden ability, he must first give an S-rank evaluation. But it seems a little difficult to play for S-level grading. Thinking of this, Li Xiu had a slight headache. Then he turned his attention to the cooldown. Because it is less than a month, his sim cooldown is only 1 hour. Chapter 4, Exploding Luck. Li Xiu immediately asked, "How is the cooldown calculated?" The system replied, "If the simulation time is a few months, and the cooling time is only a few hours. If it is less than a month, the cooling time is 1 hour. The cooldown is the time until the next simulation can be experienced." Hearing this, Li Xiu was a little excited. After waiting for only 1 hour he could simulate again. He immediately turned his attention to the last message. He could choose one of the 3 simulation abilities, and in the next simulation's abilities will again be random. Of course there was no doubt about it. He will naturally choose the only blue ability, Little Luck. After all, this is the best of the 3 simulation abilities. Li Xiu said, "I choose to inherit Little Luck. Inherit the blue ability, Little Luck. The next time you randomly simulate an ability, this ability will definitely appear. But the only pity is that the inheritance can only last 3 times. After 3 times, it will be re-randomized. That is to say, he can inherit this little luck 3 times. After 3 times, he can only inherit other simulation abilities. If you want to inherit little luck, you can only hope that it appears again. After doing this, he just needs to wait another hour for the cooldown. Goo goo. At this moment, there was a gurgling sound from Li Xiu's stomach. He hasn't had dinner yet. Li Xiu took out his phone and wanted to order something online. As a result, I pulled out an old machine. He just remembered. It is 2009, and the era for online transactions is still far away. None of the popular online food apps have not even launched yet. There is a service, but it is very expensive. Most importantly, he is no longer the adult man who achieved financial freedom but a normal school-going orphan. The original owner, usually on government subsidies, work-study programs to live. This independent and dilapidated single room is still a low-rent housing provided by the authorities. After paying the low-rent housing, he has to spend every penny on his meals carefully, otherwise he will starve. This is also the reason why the previous body was so thin. For him today, eating takeout is the most extravagant thing. He could only go to soak a bowl of instant noodles and fill his stomach. However, after a bowl of instant noodles, he was still not full, so he made 2 more packets to fill his stomach. Only then did he come to his senses. He now has an athlete's physique and eats far more than the average person. Thinking of this, Li Xiu had a headache. With the current food intake, his little money has been difficult to fill. He must make more money for the current food intake, otherwise he will be hungry for a long time. Thinking of making money, he had a slight headache. He was not familiar with this world, and he had only a superficial understanding of the world from his predecessor, which could not bring him a deeper understanding. In addition, he has no starting capital, and it is even more difficult to make money. Li Xiu pondered for a while before he had any idea, so he stopped thinking too much. Instead, focus on simulation. Because the simulation cooldown is about to end. Cooling time, 2 minutes and 25 seconds. Cooling time, 2 minutes and 24 seconds. Cooling time, 53 seconds. Seeing the cooling time approaching, Li Xiu became more and more excited. He is very much looking forward to the next simulation. I don't know what kind of ability will randomly appear. Also don't know what his new sims will be like. Thinking of this, he felt excited and pinched his thumb and index finger. Soon. Cooldown is over. Does the host want to enter a new simulation? Yes. Li Xiu said. The simulation starts. Please choose 3 simulation abilities. A romantic, white. Penniless, white. Little luck, blue. Bully, white. He quickly swiped through 20 random simulated abilities. Suddenly, he was stunned. Immediately, his breathing became rapid. Intense joy was visible on his face. In his sight, a touch of golden light is divided into dazzling, extraordinarily shining. It was like the first ray of divine light that formed the world. The rich and complex emotions were violently churning in his heart, and finally they were condensed into one word and blurted out. Yes. Li Xiu's eyes were full of surprises. Golden ability. Child of luck, gold. Son of fortune, you have great luck, and you are a well-deserved protagonist in the world. When faced with adversity, you are often able to save yourself from danger, step by step to the peak of life. Son of luck, as you can tell from the name, the exclusive of the protagonist, maybe even ceiling of abilities. What is a child of luck? It is the person who is loved by the luck, and the person who is the center of world. With this ability in hand, he will definitely be able to simulate good results this time. If he could simulate an S-rank evaluation, wouldn't it be possible to solidify this ability on him? In reality, he will really become child of luck. Then he can face the world a lot more calmly. Thinking of this, Li Xiu's heart surged. Was luck of 2 lifetimes used up? Directly gave him a golden ability. This is something he did not expect at all. Chapter 5, Good System. But he calmed himself down. If he wants to solidify this ability, he must get an S-rank evaluation in the simulation. Otherwise, this ability can only be inherited 3 times in a row, and it may never even appear later. The chance of an apocalyptic asteroid hitting Earth may even be more than getting it again. Therefore, he must give an S-rank evaluation within next 4 simulations. It's just that he is just worried if he can give an S-rank evaluation. He looked at the other simulated abilities again. When he saw a touch of purple among the whites, he couldn't help but feel, yes, I knew it. I really have exhausted luck of all my lifetime. This time, in addition to refreshing a golden ability, I also refreshed a purple ability. Battle Master, purple. Battle Master, you have an unparalleled fighting ability, and you have a natural instinct and enthusiasm for fighting. No matter what the occasion of the battle, you are fearless, bold, and careful. You can learn all kinds of combat skills very quickly, and integrate them to achieve better effects, and become a master of combat in the short period of time. In addition to raising one's combat ability to a greater level, this ability also imparts courage. It says, you have a natural enthusiasm for fighting. No matter what the occasion of the battle, you are fearless, bold, and careful. This description is actually equivalent to blessing of 2 excellent abilities of calmness and courage. After having this ability, he will be able to turn his strength into combat power, and in the face of the dangers of this world, he will be able to deal with it more calmly. In this way, it seems to be a little closer to hitting an S-level evaluation. Combat ability plus purple plus luck plus gold equals instant happiness. As for others, they are basically white and green. There is only one blue ability. It is the little luck that he inherited. In the end, he did not choose little luck. After all, he already had a top-level luck ability, and this blue ability would just be a wastage. According to the system, abilities of the same type will not have superimposed effects. Therefore, little luck will only occupy a position for no reason, and has no other role. Therefore, he could only settle for the next best thing and choose a green ability. After some scrolling, he decided that he needed 3 simulation abilities. Child of Fortune, gold. Battle Master, purple. Little Wealth, green. Little Wealth, you have a wealth of $100,000. Li Xiu said, just these 3 abilities. Successful selection of simulation ability? The simulation begins? Day 1, you protect and stand up for Gwen. With the ability of Battle Master, you eliminated several gangsters neatly and won Gwen's favor. At the same time, you also begin to learn combat skills. At 9 o'clock in the night, you went out for a walk, and found a black bag next to the big tree in the abandoned factory next door. When you opened it, you found that there were $100,000 in it. You were suddenly a small rich man. Sure enough, the ability of Battle Master is really different. In the last simulation, in order to drive away a few thugs, he was slightly injured. This time, he easily solved those same people. Sure enough, it feels good to be strong. In addition, this time the explanation is not as detailed as last time. It seems that the descriptions that have appeared will be more clean and concise when they appear again. When you see the last paragraph, Li Xiu was stunned for a moment. Good guy. Picked up $100,000 when I went out. Is this the effect of the ability Little Wealth? For a huge amount of $100,000, he only had to go out and pick up money. This is indeed a bit beyond Li Xiu's expectations. But soon, Li Xiu's eyes lit up. Since this is a simulated future, which means that this is what will happen in the future. That is to say, if he goes to the abandoned factory next door at 9 o'clock tomorrow night, he will be able to find the black bag of $100,000. Thinking of this, Li Xiu's eyes flashed with joy. He was still in a dilemma about money before, but the next second, the simulator gave him money. Li Xiu smiled, feeling very comfortable. This is a good system. I will not scold it in future, maybe. Also, this is USD, and it's still in 2009. This $100,000 can be said to be a lot of money. With this $100,000, it is enough for him to have a sufficient and nutritious meal. After all, if you want to maintain a strong physique, proper nutrition is necessary, otherwise the physique will either regress or even turn worse. For example, the top basketball player Kevin Durant eats nearly 7 full meals a day. In order to maintain body fat and health, he will spend a lot of money to hire top chefs to make nutritious food for him. Including the cost of the chef and the cost of ingredients, Durant needs to spend $400 on food per day. Definitely he doesn't need a chef, so he will save a lot of money, but the ingredients will be expensive, far exceeding financial capability of ordinary people. So, with these $100,000, he doesn't have to worry about food for the time being. It was really a timely help. After suppressing the joy, he continued reading Chapter 6, Horny System. Day 2, you watch various fighting and martial arts videos, eat bodybuilding food like crazy. Meanwhile, you continue to be in touch with Gwen, and the two of you develop some subtle feelings. Day 3, while you improve your fighting skills, you start your research to look for relevant information on the bite of the mutant spider. In the end, you found that in case of mutant spider bites, there is a high probability of death, a very small probability of causing huge damage, and an extremely small probability of causing unknown changes in human DNA. Reading the last sentence, Li Xiu narrowed his eyes slightly. It's true. There is a probability of death in case of mutant spider bites. And it's still a high probability, no wonder he died directly last time. It seems that even if there is little luck, this high probability event cannot be suppressed at all. In addition, even if he did not die last time, it is estimated that he would at least be seriously injured. After all, there is a high probability of death and a small probability of serious injury. There is only an extremely small chance of mutating human DNA. The mutation caused here should be the acquisition of the spider ability. This is proper example of difference between protagonist and mobs. Thinking of this, Li Xiu's eyes light up slightly. After all, this time, he has the golden ability Child of Luck, the top-level luck ability, and mother of all protagonists. He remembered that the 25th day was when Gwen triggered the mutant spider event. When Child of Luck encounters that mutant spider, he is looking forward to its effect. If he can get the spider ability in the simulation this time, he can transmit it to his own reality. In that way, he can break free from the shackles of ordinary and weak humans and break through to reach strengths of superhumans. At least then he would have some confidence in this dangerous world. Thinking of this, Li Xiu was a little excited. But he quickly calmed down and continued to look down. Day 5, Frozone entered your school to kill people. Luckily you escaped the attack. But seeing the death of your classmates made you depressed, and Gwen comes up to comfort you. On this day, you continued to improve your combat skills crazily. Your combat level has undergone earth-shaking changes, and you have reached a stronger combat level. Here, the description of Frozone Man is also a lot simpler, and it seems that it is as he guessed. Information that has already appeared is automatically made more concise. The descriptions are only different when the premise is different. Day 6, you have learned everything you could from fighting videos. You decide to sharpen yourself from real combat. You heard about an underground boxing match and you decide to participate in it. Underground boxing. Good guy. In order to simulate fighting skills, illegal boxing has been chosen. Thinking carefully, this choice seems rather logical. After all, if you want to improve your combat skills, you can only hone them in actual combat. If you want to fight against other martial experts, this type of boxing match is undoubtedly a good choice. I am really smart. Day 7, your relationship with Gwen has heated up rather quickly. On the first day of the fight, facing boxers who have been immersed in boxing and have been fighting for many years, even with your robust body and fighting skills, you can only last for a few minutes before losing. Amid the pain and blood, your combat skills are rapidly improving. After the completion of all matches, even if you don't win a game, you are entitled to receive $200 in compensation. Reading this, Li Xiu's eyelids twitched slightly. Good guy. Even if he has the ability of Battle Master, he has only been beaten, and he has not been able to win even a single match. It seems that in this boxing competition, there are professionals. Fuck this, a simple underground boxing match, so hard. In the end, he received $200 in compensation, and the corners of his mouth twitched slightly. Day 8, upon seeing your injuries, Gwen tears up. She even wanted her father, who is a NYPD captain, to come forward and arrest those who hurt you. You hurriedly stopped her, and you told her that you were learning Sanda, Chinese kickboxing, from a master, and were injured during practice. Convinced, Gwen decided not to tell her father what happened, otherwise you were basically screwed. But seeing Gwen's concern, you were still very moved, and you decided to repay her wholeheartedly. On the second day of the fight, enduring the pain and blood, your fighting skills improved rapidly. But because of the injury, you couldn't repay Gwen that night. Seeing Gwen cry and show such concern, Li Xiu touched his nose thinking, it seems she really likes me. Then he looked at himself in the mirror, seeing how handsome I am, it's only natural. But when he saw that he was ready to repay the other party, his face darkened instantly. Bastard, it's only been 8 days, and I want to repay the other party. This is too fast. He really felt that his face could not be hung up. Li Xiu has a clear understanding of himself. This kind of thing is definitely not something he can do. This is probably the simulator doing things. Li Xiu is by no means such a lecherous person. The system is horny, yes, definitely. He continued to look. Day 15, after a period of honing yourself and enduring great pain, your fighting level has soared. In the face of those fierce and powerful fists, you are now able to hold your ground. You also found out that the top fighters in this black boxing match are all too good. This is certainly not an ordinary underground boxing match. You couldn't repay Gwen because of the constant injuries, and the night was a little dry. Yes, after a period of simulation, he has been able to improve to such level. This shows that his fighting skills have made great progress. He nodded in satisfaction. It was only the last paragraph that made his face darken. Ignoring it, he continued to look down. Chapter 7, Strong Yet Weak. Day 22, under the blessing of Battle Master and your persistent efforts, you have learned from your shortcomings through actual combat, improved them, and your combat level has improved rapidly. In the underworld boxing game, you can now crush all the master veterans. You have managed to arouse the interest of the man behind the illegal boxing matches, who has never seen such a rapidly improving fighting genius as you. For this kind of improvement, he only said one sentence, peerless talent, it should be used and controlled by me. That night, the man behind the scenes, Crime Lord Kingpin, has sent someone to invite you, work under him, and has given you a day to think about it. You rejected the other party on the spot. Seeing that he had grown to the point of crushing those seasoned fighters easily, Li Xiu smacked his tongue slightly. Good guy. Is this the true benefit of the ability Battle Master? From a novice with no combat experience, in just 20 days, he has risen with a combat power stronger than those with decades of experience. Crush all the black boxing masters who have been immersed in boxing for a long time? After all, according to his observations, the top fighters here are very powerful. And now he can beat shit out of them. This growth rate is simply terrifying. Li Xiu's eyes twitched slightly. This purple ability is too strong. He continued to watch and saw the identity of the person behind the black boxing match. He also finally understood why this black boxing match was so difficult, filled with boxers of top fighting skills. It turned out that the black boxing competition held by Kingpin, and who is Kingpin? One of the most feared, dangerous and powerful crime lords in the Marvel Universe, who had most of the officials in his pockets. His influence was spread to all parts of the country. He was an adversary to superheroes like Spider-Man, and later he became an archenemy of Daredevil. He is in existence at the top of the New York City's pyramids. Only such a powerful person can hold such a top-level black boxing competition and attract a group of top boxers. Power so strong that even officials turn a blind eye to his deeds. At the same time, it can also be seen from Kingpin's evaluation of him. His fighting ability has indeed become strong. After all, it is very rare to be able to attract interest of top dog like Kingpin. After all, Kingpin himself often singled out a group of top martial artists and fighters in a fight for life and death to hone his combat skills. Every time he fights, his strength is proven. He can even resist the attack of the amazing mutants like Spider-Man with his mortal body. It can prove that Kingpin is already at the peak of his fighting skills. The geniuses that the other party has come into contact with are as common as Chinese cabbages. But such people were still thrashed by Li Xiu, and even evaluated him as peerless talent. This is enough to show that Li Xiu's ability is too terrifying. It's no wonder that the other party has the idea for solicitation. Li Xiu guessed that the purple ability of this combat class should be the existence that is very close to the golden ability. Otherwise it wouldn't be so scary. However, in the face of Kingpin's invitation, he still refused. This is also what he expected. First of all, he is not used to living under others, nor is he used to working for others. To ask him to work for others and listen to their orders, he can't do this. Furthermore, although he is not a good person, he will never do things that involve hurting others for no reason. Kingpin is the crime lord of New York, who can put all evils to shame. He did not continue to ponder over this. He continued to look down. Day 23, the black boxing match can no longer have an effect on you. You have decided to quit going. Because of the long battle, you have been injured all the time, so you have been unable to Gwen. You're ready to repay Gwen tonight. As a result, Kingpin personally sought you, took out $500,000, and gave you two choices. Accept or die. You decisively rejected Kingpin. Angry and enraged, he shot at you. In the face of Kingpin, who has a terrifying physique and excellent fighting skills, you are not his opponent, and you are defeated after an exchange of 10 moves. Kingpin doesn't kill you right away and gives you time to think about it for another day. If you don't accept his invitation again, then you are responsible for your demise. At night, Gwen came to your house, saw you seriously injured, and rushed you to the hospital. Now that he has crushed the overall situation, he will naturally not go to the boxing competition. It's just that he didn't expect it. Kingpin actually came to recruit him in person. He took out $500,000 and let him choose to accept or die in an extremely overbearing way. See here. Li Xiu frowned slightly. Is this an overbearing president novel? Excuse me, but I am not a gay. This guy Kingpin is not only powerful, but also comparable to some weak mutants. The most important aspect is that he has great power and can mobilize a lot of resources. Plus, this guy is notoriously ruthless. He continued to look down, and suddenly his pupils shrank slightly. 10 blows? With his current strength, he can overwhelm the entire underworld boxing competition. After only 10 moves in Kingpin's hands, he was defeated. This was something he hadn't thought of at all. Although he knew that Kingpin was very strong and was comparable to likes of Captain America, but he did not expect that the gap between him and the other party was so enormous. In his opinion, even if he can't beat Kingpin, he should be able to at least hold his ground even if may lose eventually. The result was such a complete defeat. But soon, Li Xiu understood why. He is indeed strong, but he is still at peak of human potential and close to entering superhuman stage where he can lift nearly 1,000 pounds. And Kingpin is a superhuman type, which has surpassed the limit of ordinary people and is comparable to superhumans like Captain. And the gap between ordinary people and superhumans is beyond his imagination. He is strong, very strong in ordinary people's perception, yet so vulnerable in face of real threats. Chapter 8, Decisive Moment. Kingpin has given him just 1 day to think about it. If he can't give a satisfactory answer to the other party by tomorrow, then he will be buried before even sprouting. Li Xiu frowned. Judging from the current situation, he can only accept the invitation of the other party. I can't be so brain-dead to not understand the situation properly, right? Li Xiu is not someone who doesn't know how to understand his own position. Facing this situation, it is better to accept the invitation than to die. It's just that the feeling of being forced by someone is very uncomfortable, especially after being beaten and seriously injured. So if he gets an ability later, he will definitely have his payback. The most important thing is that on the 25th day, he will be able to get in touch with the mutant spider incident. At that time, if he can get the Spider-Man's ability, then he will have the ability to deal with Kingpin. At least he will not be forced into this pathetic and embarrassing situation. After all, the Spider-Man's ability is still very strong, especially the fully developed spider ability, which is so frightening that it crushes Captain America. So he cannot die in 24 days. Thinking of this, Li Xiu became slightly nervous. If you die in 24 days, it will be a great loss. The simulation continued, and he kept checking. Day 24, Gwen was so frightened by your injury that she told her father about it and begged him to investigate it. When the police chief heard that his daughter was arched by a pig, his beard trembled with anger. But for the sake of his precious daughter, he decided to investigate the matter. Immediately I knew that you were threatened by Kingpin, and that you rejected Kingpin's offer. Gwen's father was shocked by your courage in rejecting Kingpin. In addition, your attitude of not complying with the criminals has made him see you in a positive light. So for today, you are under the strict protection of the police, and Kingpin has no way to kill you. The identity of Gwen's father made Kingpin slightly cautious, and he decided not to do anything to you for the time being. You will be safer in the future. You, who were forced into such sorry state, have already held a grudge against Kingpin, and you secretly swore that if there is a chance in the future, you must get rid of Kingpin. Watching the simulation for the 24th day, Li Xiu breathed a sigh of relief. It has been a peaceful day. It was just the way he spent that surprised him a little. Unexpectedly, it was his cheap future father-in-law who made the move. This is not a good repayment to Gwen. Cough cough. Thank you Gwen. As normal. As can be seen from the simulation, this Gwen really likes him. She was really considerate and genuinely cared for him, and even asked her father to help him. Am I now like those soft meal eaters? Anyway, under the means of the cheap old man, he was temporarily safe. However, it is only temporarily safe, and Kingpin is bound to look for opportunities to shoot in the future. But as the 25th day came, he was quite sure that he won't be so vulnerable in near future. The simulation continues. He continued to look down. Day 25, on this day, your class is going to visit a biotechnology company, except you who is hospitalized. You sneaked out of the hospital and went to the company. Soon, you see Gwen being bitten. You hurriedly stepped forward and hugged the bitten Gwen, and secretly let the spider bite you. Gwen was shocked by your presence, and she blamed you for not staying in the hospital to recuperate. You made the excuse that you missed her too much, and Gwen was happy to hear that, and she liked you even more. Gwen starts to feel dizzy and breaks into a cold sweat, and you rush her to her home. Gwen's father is at home, guarding against you like a thief, and at the same time telling you that Kingpin won't bother you for the time being, so you can feel more at ease. Seeing Gwen unconscious, he was terrified and asked you what happened. You made an excuse that it must be side effect of her not sleeping while taking care of you. Your cheap father-in-law blames you. At this time, you also began to feel unwell, sweating and turning pale. You hurriedly left the house and stopped a taxi. The other party saw that you were not in a good state, like a drug addict, and did not dare to stop for you. You can only walk home, and pedestrians glare and avoid you like a pest. You have dizziness, body pain, etc., which is very uncomfortable. When you get home, you pass out due to extreme pain. Seeing the opening paragraph, his whole heart suddenly froze. The whole class had to go to the biological company, but he was the only one who was hospitalized. Just when he thought he was going to miss this great opportunity, what happened next made him bleed back, and his hands and feet felt warm. The self in the simulation also knows to sneak out and take the opportunity. It can also be seen from here that the self in the simulation obviously knows that there is its own opportunity in the biological company. This also shows that the self in the simulation is the self who has the first simulation memory, and has the advantage of being a prophet. Comfortable? Seeing this, he nodded in satisfaction. As expected of him, he will never let go of this opportunity. He did not go brain dead at a critical moment. Li Xiu was very moved and proud that the self in the simulation inherited his fine habits. The next thing went smoothly. He successfully touched the spider and was bitten again. And this time he didn't die immediately. Seeing this, a hint of joy flashed in his eyes. Obviously, the effect of Child of Luck was activated. Let him successfully change the original fate of death. But the most important thing is yet to come. Next. There are only two possibilities. One is a small probability of triggering serious injuries. One is to trigger the spider ability with an extremely small probability. Li Xiu held breath in anxiety. Next, it's time to verify whether Child of Luck is really powerful. The test is here. Either he will successfully get rid of the weak mortal body and be promoted to the level of mutants or fail. He stared intently in front of him. The simulation continued, and lines of words emerged. Chapter 9, Still Vulnerable. Day 26, the alarm sound of the mobile phone irritates you. You touch the mobile phone and want to turn off the alarm, but with a click, the mobile phone is broken, and you are completely awakened in an instant. Then you were pleasantly surprised to find that you have succeeded. Spider-Man's strength is huge, and he can also climb walls. Plus you don't need web shooters, you can release cobweb from your wrist. You secretly tested your strength. Your current limit strength is about 7 tons. You suddenly understand that your spider ability has not fully grown and needs to be greatly enhanced. Originally you thought that after you get the spider ability, you will immediately to shitpin and get your revenge. But for now, it seems that you still need to lay dormant, familiarize and exercise your spider ability. After all, Kingpin isn't a guy who can't compete with the normal Spider-Man. Li Xiu took a deep breath when he saw that he had successfully acquired the spider ability. He was silent for a while, and then he clenched his fists, his eyes bursting with joy. It worked! The powerful golden ability Child of Luck perfectly demonstrates its ability, completely reversed the result of being bitten by a mutant spider, triggering the extremely small probability event. Is this the power of the golden ability? I am in love /n, is he mentally unstable? Li Xiu licked his lips, his eyes full of excitement. The strength obtained in the simulation will be saved in reality. That is to say, after this simulation is over, he will get the spider ability and will completely break free from the limitations of ordinary people. This moment, Li Xiu finally felt a sense of security. Definitely, the simulation isn't over yet. Everything has to go on. After acquiring the spider ability, he has 7 tons of power. This is already a very terrifying force. But Li Xiu understands that this is just the beginning, as he has not fully developed the spider ability. After all, the normal strength of Spider-Man in the early stage was 15 tons to 20 tons. After further development and training, it reached the level of 50 tons, which is not yet the upper limit. That's why Spider-Man has the nickname Little Hulk. Because this guy is indeed more powerful than ordinary superhumans, and he is too versatile. You know, Captain America's normal strength is only 3 tons to 10 tons, and it's still the limit, and it can't go further. But Spider-Man can reach 15 to 20 tons with a little training /n. Maybe it was taken from comics Spider-Man. He's only got spider strength now, so his physical strength is still not fully developed, starting with just 7 tons. As long as he trains hard and works hard to develop the spider ability, his power will soon be raised. Kingpin has defeated Captain America. In addition to his superb fighting skills, Kingpin's strength should not be underestimated. Also, his ability to compete with the normal Spider-Man shows that Kingpin's strength is about 10 tons to 15 tons. Later, Spider-Man was able to defeat Kingpin, showing that Spider-Man's strength far exceeded 20 tons through long-term training. This is also why Spider-Man fought back and forth with Pin in the early stage, and can abuse him with one hand in the later stage. In addition to the factor of Spider-Man's anger, there is also the fact that Spider-Man has been growing all the time, and Pin has already reached the human body limit. The self in the simulation only has 7 tons of strength, and facing Kingpin, he is not necessarily an opponent. So remaining Loki is indeed the best plan. Month 4, after hard training, you have successfully raised your ultimate strength to 15 tons. At the same time, you are constantly exercising your combat skills, and your combat skills have also improved a lot. This month, Spider-Woman came into public light, and only you know it's Gwen. You communicate with Gwen from time to time, and you find that the other person's body is more flexible, and the other side is surprised to find that you also have greater stamina. But she doesn't know your ability. You understand that a strong physique is the capital of a long-lasting battle, and you work harder to train yourself. Li Xiu looked at the beginning and touched his chin. After more than a month, the number of days is no longer displayed, but the number of months. After 3 months of hard work, he successfully increased the limit strength from 7 tons to 15 tons, which more than doubled directly. Seeing this, Li Xiu was very satisfied. The ultimate strength of 15 tons has reached the usual level of Little Spider-Man. It is already a very terrifying force. In the face of ordinary supervillains, he was easily able to deal with them. However, the self in the simulation is not hot-headed, so he was more cautious. He agrees with this. After all, be careful sailing a 1,000-year-old ship. Moreover, in addition to his own great strength, Kingpin is also surrounded by his subordinates and various unknown weapons. To avoid a fatal loss, you have to be careful. Reading the start, Li Xiu's mouth twitched. It's really not forgetting to communicate all the time. Is this really him? Li Xiu was speechless. He swears that he is not such a person. 7th month, after hard training, you have successfully raised your ultimate strength to 20 tons. You still feel that you are not enough insurance, so you did not feel a bottleneck and you continue to improve it. This month, by chance, you participated in the fan meeting of superheroes from VOT International, and you saw the Homelander. Under the warning of Spidey senses, the Homelander gives you suffocating pressure. You feel that you will be crushed like an ant if you approach him. Queen Maeve saw you in the crowd, and your handsomeness made her heart flutter. After the meeting, she privately gave you hints, but you politely refused. After this meeting, you trained even harder? Chapter 10, The Man-Child. After 3 months of hard training again, he increased his ultimate strength to 20 tons. Seeing this, Li Xiu's mouth was full of smiles. After all, the stronger he is in the simulation, the stronger he will be when the simulation ends. So proud of the self in simulation. Seeing that he still hasn't found and sought revenge against Kingpin, Li Xiu's mouth twitched slightly. 20 tons of extreme power, still acting like a pussy. Dude, I'm very cautious in the simulation? So cautious that Li Xiu himself was stunned. Is he so careful? Reading the second half, Li Xiu narrowed his eyes slightly. He actually saw the superheroes, supervillains, from the boys. I saw the famous big baby in this fucked up world. Under the packaging of VOT Company, the Homelander and others have become national star heroes. On the surface, he acts as a hero, fights criminals, and then makes various movies and shows. He is very famous and is considered a superstar. Because of his publicity as a great superstar, it is not difficult to meet him as various fan meetings and concerts are organized for him. As long as you attend fan meetings, movie conferences, etc., you can meet the big baby boy. The most important thing is that in the early parts of the series, the Homelander was still relatively disciplined, at least on the bright side. Therefore, there is basically no danger in going to the other party's press conference. This is also the reason why the self in the simulation dares to attend the meeting. But Li Xiu still admires his boldness. After all, beneath the splendid appearance of the Homelander, there is an extremely sinister soul. Perversion, universal scale inflated ego, cruelty, and the most important is that he is still a child A/N. Others are fine, but if you like the last part comment. Relying on his unparalleled strength, he has done a lot of crazy things in private. This guy even has the nickname of God of Masturbation. Under the moon, on the rooftops, and unbridled and extremely dangerous. Definitely, the feelings the Homelander gives him is what he pays most attention to. In the face of the mere presence of Homelander, he had a strong sense of suffocation and feel unable to overcome. This shows that the motherland is too strong, even if he already has 20 tons of extreme strength. He is not an opponent at all. However, this was also expected by Li Xiu. After all, in the world of the boys, the people of the motherland have the only absolute power to crush other super ability people. After all, he is known as the low-level version of Superman. Originally, the character of Homelander was designed to imitate Superman. Whether it is the setting of various abilities or absolute power, they all imitated Superman. Although the Homelander is often mocked as a low-level version of Superman, it also depends on who you are comparing him to. That's a low-level version of Superman? Who is Superman? An extremely powerful being in the world, a terrifying existence that can crush all living beings. The man who could survive even the death of universe? The lower version of Superman, that is also extremely terrifying? In the original work, the Homelander was ridiculed for not being able to lift the plane, but in fact it was not that he did not have the strength to lift the plane. It's just that the motherland does not have the powers to control electromagnetic field, gravity, and the area of impact of the hands is too small, which will only pierce the body of the plane like paper. It's like a person who can't lift a big lump of jelly with both hands, because the hands will only pierce it. It's too brittle. He remembered that the Homelander had a feat that he could withstand a 1.6 million ton nuclear explosion with almost no damage. This shows that the original strength of the Homelander is also extremely terrifying. Therefore, the Homelander is indeed not as strong as Superman, but he too is extremely perverted. For most of the superheroes on Earth, he is an invincible existence. A/N, we need Batman. Li Xiu frowned slightly. This world is much more dangerous than the pure Marvel world. After all, there is one more absolute psychopath in this world. On top of that, the man was extremely dangerous and unscrupulous. Definition of pure evil. No wonder he trains harder. What surprised Li Xiu the most was that Queen Maeve still wanted to sleep with him. She also gave him hints in private. Li Xiu touched his face. Sure enough, looking handsome is a little distressing. Queen Maeve's character is to imitate Wonder Woman, with the same strength as Wonder Woman. However, he finally rejected Queen Maeve. Li Xiu also understood why he refused. After all, Queen Maeve has no other advantages except for her strong physique, sufficient stamina, and more endurance than ordinary people. In other words, she doesn't look good. If Queen Maeve was as beautiful and sexy as Wonder Woman, it might end differently. A/N, hypocrisy over 9000. 9th month, under extremely hard training, you have successfully raised your ultimate strength to 27 tons. At the same time, your combat skills have improved drastically. Kingpin, who has endured for months and finally couldn't stand it anymore and has sent top snipers to kill you. But you're not what you used to be, and with your spy day senses tingling, you dodge snipers easily and kill them. You start looking for Kingpin's whereabouts, determined to get rid of him, but you find no clue on his whereabouts. Because of your strength, Kingpin was alarmed and has gone underground. He was able to dodge a sniper that to the Simo Heiha known as the deadliest sniper in the history. Watching this, Li Xiu smirked and clicked his tongue slightly. The spy day senses are incredible. Thinking of this, Li Xiu smiled. 11th month, after extremely hard training, you have successfully raised your ultimate strength to 30 tons. After unremitting search, you finally found Kingpin and successfully killed him and his subordinates. You return home victoriously and are looking forward to your future strength. As you relax, your spy day senses start going haywire. You see Homelander floating in front of you with face full of jealousy. You are bisected vertically into 3 parts. Chapter 11, the reason. This simulation is over. Simulation time is more than 11 months. Next simulation has a cooldown of 11 hours. Simulation level, A. When the simulation level reaches A, you can solidify a purple level or an ability below a purple level. Please choose to inherit an ability. The inherited ability will definitely appear in the next simulation, transmitting current strength in the simulation to the host. An incomparably powerful force poured into Li Xiu's body. In an instant, every cell in his body is undergoing earth-shaking changes and the intensity rises rapidly. After a while, an incomparably powerful force poured out of his body. This is a terrifying power he has never felt before. 30 tons of ultimate power. At this moment, every cell of his body is like a dormant beast, full of explosive power. As long as he wants to, he can easily tear apart anything in this room, including the walls. The most important thing is, Li Xiu can also control this power perfectly, and there will be no situation where the power gets out of control. After all, this power is what he has achieved after months of hard work and dedication. It seems that the perfect control over his strength is also transmitted. At the same time, a lot of fighting and combat skills poured into his mind and carved into his muscles. Under the blessing of Battle Master, after 11 months of practice, his fighting skills have reached the pinnacle of perfection. And these were also inherited by Li Xiu. For a moment, Li Xiu has changed from a combat novice to a seasoned and skilled fighter. All kinds of boxing and fighting skills have been integrated into his bones. Feeling his powerful strength, Li Xiu finally breathed a sigh of relief. With this power, he has greater confidence to face foes in this world. And that's just the beginning. With the simulator, he must be able to go further and surpass others. A gleam of light flashed in Li Xiu's eyes. He frowned slightly again. He only got a rating this time, so he can only solidify one purple ability. Then he can only solidify Battle Master. The reason why he only got an A-level evaluation is because he had not utilized all the opportunities completely and could not continue to grow. And all of this is because of that bastard Homelander who suddenly killed him. If not for his intervention, he should be able to make an S-level evaluation this time. Li Xiu understood that there were still 3 more chances, and he had to score an S grade in the next 3 simulations. Otherwise, the ability Child of Luck may be gone forever. If he wants to get an S-rank rating, he must avoid this attack from the Homelander and continue to grow. After all, Homelander is an invincible existence to him at present, and he cannot defeat him at all, so he can only temporarily avoid the edge. If he wants to avoid the attack of the Homelander, he first needs to figure out why hell did that man-child came to look trouble with him. He obviously never provoked this giant baby, and has only seen that abomination once. How could he provoke this guy in such a short time? He looked at the simulator's description, face screaming of jealousy. A flash of enlightenment flashed in Li Xiu's mind. The only communication he had with the Homelander was that damn meeting. If there is anything that can provoke him, it can only be the interest of Queen Maeve in him. The Homelander had an affair with Queen Maeve before, and he was originally a very possessive and jealous giant baby. If Queen Maeve gets along with others, especially men, there is a high chance that Homelander will destroy the other party because of his perverted possessiveness. Although he didn't get on well with Queen Maeve, the people of the Homelander would feel that the woman I used to fuck is now interested in somebody else. Is this a green hat for him? The Homelander should have suddenly learned this information, and then shot and killed him. This should be the whole picture of the event. If you want to test this idea, next time you simulate, it's better not to go to the fan meeting and not to cross paths with the people of the Vought International. Li Xiu touched his face and was speechless. Is it wrong to be handsome? Is being handsome an unpardonable sin? Not continuing to ponder over it, the next step is to solidify the ability. Li Xiu said, solidify Battle Master. Ding. Solidifying purple ability Battle Master. The solidified ability may randomly appear in the simulation in the future. Next moment. A trace of enlightenment came to mind. He became extremely sensitive to matters of combat. Understanding and learning to fight became as easy as drinking water for him. His sensitivity to combat-related skills has grown significantly. Then there is the ability left to inherit. This is nothing to consider. Li Xiu said directly, inherit Child of Luck. Inheriting the golden ability Child of Luck, in the next simulation this will definitely appear. After doing this, he just has to wait for the cooldown to expire and then go to the next simulation. It was already late at night, and a trace of drowsiness struck him. Li Xiu fell asleep. Chapter 12, The Confirmation. The next morning, Li Xiu went to school for first time in his new life. Li Xiu is now a senior in high school and has just turned 18 years old. When Li Xiu entered the school, he could clearly feel the gaze of many girls. It ain't their fault, I am just too handsome. Following his memory he reached the classroom. Li Xiu sat quietly in his seat. He was a little curious about what the Spider-Woman Gwen in this world looked like. Soon, the school bell rang. The teacher walked in with a girl. The facial features are exquisite, the complexion is on the fair side, and the golden hair is like an iceberg beauty. But those peach blossom eyes softened the coldness, making her more charming. Dressed in casual clothes, it is difficult to hide the proud and charming figure. Top beauty and full of femininity. Even more unimaginable, if he wears her spider suit, how amazing the allure is. I'm afraid a man can't stand it. The teacher said with a smile, this is your new classmate in our class, Gwen Stacy. Everyone should get along well. Seeing Gwen, the eyes of the students in the class are basically starstruck, no matter male or female. Seeing the future Spider-Woman Gwen, Li Xiu finally understands the reason for unsatisfactory in the simulation. Even if it is him, he can't stand it. The temperament is the blend of ice and fire, as well as the proud figure. Plus the exciting identity of Spider-Woman. He really couldn't stand it. He would have to be an eunuch to endure it. Li Xiu had sworn before that he was definitely not a person who is superficial, but when he saw Gwen for the first time, he immediately changed his mind. Definitely, Li Xiu didn't put all his attention on Gwen either. For more time, he is still exercising his ability to control power. Let your control of power be more subtle. After all, he is now a humanoid super tyrannosaurus with a maximum strength of 30 tons. With one punch, the car turns into a cake. Although in the simulation, I have been able to master my own power more proficiently, but the mastery is far from the point of perfection. After all, in the simulation, he focused more on rapidly increasing his strength. Otherwise, it would not have been raised from 7 tons to 30 tons of force in just 10 months. Time passed by rather quickly. Soon, school is over. Li Xiu glanced at Gwen's back. The next step is to test whether what is in the simulation actually happens in reality. Immediately, he left for his own house. Sure enough, Gwen was on the same path as him. Soon, the event in the simulation happens. Gwen was stopped by a group of thugs while walking through an alley. About 8 people with piercings, braids and everything that screams thugs. Maybe a local gang. America in his old world was infected by these pests of society, not to mention in the world of Marvel, which is full of super criminals and the boys where superheroes too are all scum. In particular, New York City is simply a city of darkness. The gang members are even more courageous. When I saw a beauty like Gwen, I immediately went up to it. Who cares about the rest? Entering the alley, there are several men. Seeing a group of gangsters stop a beautiful woman, these men suddenly became heroic and came forward. What are you doing? Let that girl go. I advise you not to do this, or I will call the police. An Asian man with slightly large build came forward, and rushed up and kicked one person. You fuckers, get out, otherwise, I will kill you one by one. Several men lost their temper in an instant and fled. Li Xiu watched what happened and was sure in his heart. Since the simulated thing will really happen, then he is equivalent to predicting the future, then he can avoid danger in time. In this way, he can live a better life in this world. Seeing the situation in front of him, Gwen pretended to be calm, backed away quietly, touched the phone in his pocket, and said with a cold face, my father is the police chief, George Stacy. He is not something you can provoke, so don't make trouble for yourself. Let's go, this time we may really get into trouble if her father is in police. It seems that all of them are not brainless. Li Xiu nodded his head, but at same time he was confused. If they really backed away, whom did I rescue Gwen from? The next moment a voice sounded. Didn't our boss say that he has big connections in the city? We will just have to share her with others, but let's first taste her. Their eyes lit up and they turned towards her again. Gwen's eyes were full of despair. At this moment, inside the alley, the others are basically gone. Only Li Xiu remained. Seeing that there was another person standing there, the thugs were all stunned. Gwen was also taken aback. She naturally knew Li Xiu. After all, Li Xiu is a very bright presence in the class. She did not expect to meet one of her classmates here. A glimmer of hope flashed in her eyes. Classmate, please help me. A dirty-looking boy's face was full of ferocity. Are you looking for death? Still haven't got out. Li Xiu didn't look at those men at all, but looked at Gwen. He showed a row of white teeth and smiled brightly. Okay, classmate Gwen. Fuck you? Don't you understand human language? Kill this wannabe hero. One of the burly black boys shouted. Several men rushed to Li Xiu. Li Xiu smiled even more. In my life, I hate two kinds of people the most. One is those who discriminate against others, and the other is scum people like you. The smile is bright and cool, but it gives off a dangerous feeling. After saying this, Li Xiu's temperament changed instantly, becoming extremely fierce. From a sunshine boy to a ruthless warrior with 100 battles. The sudden change in aura made everyone present tremble. The group of gangsters instantly regretted it. They felt like they had messed with someone they shouldn't have messed with. Li Xiu's figure flashed. Agile like a rabbit, and fierce like a lion. There were screams, blood and teeth flying. Chapter 13, Little Rich. While fighting, Li Xiu had restrained most of his strength, and only used the strength of ordinary people. After all, he doesn't want to turn them into blood pulps. Relying on his top-notch combat skills, he cleaned up these people in an instant. In under a minute, the group lay down, moaning in pain. The speed at which the matter was resolved was so fast that the parties hardly reacted. Gwen stared blankly. She originally just hoped that the other party could help her by calling the police or something, but unexpectedly, the other party solved the trouble in an instant. The strength to fight against 7 gangsters, and puts them all down in an instant. Even her father can't do it. As a result, the boy of the same age on the opposite side did it. It was completely beyond Gwen's imagination. Li Xiu walked towards Gwen and said with a smile, I have taken care of them now. Are you all right? Gwen quickly recovered from her momentary shock, and quickly thanked. The little ice on her face disappeared completely. Thank you, classmate. Looking at Li Xiu's handsome and attractive face, Gwen couldn't help but sneak glances. Learning from strike while the iron is hot, Li Xiu skillfully took Gwen's hand. Let's go, stay away from these scumbags or mood can turn foul. I/N, did they really not inform the police? Gwen's hands were soft and comfortable to touch. Li Xiu did this because physical contact would bring the two closer together faster. Definitely, as long as others don't resent your touch. Li Xiu had just rescued Gwen, and for good reason, so pulling the little hand to move away seemed natural. As soon as Li Xiu grabbed his hand, Gwen's earlobes were slightly red, and a strange feeling bloomed in her heart. It was an experience she had never had before. In addition, Li Xiu's back also gave her a strong sense of security. This feeling made Gwen feel very comfortable. After Li Xiu took Gwen out of the alley, they came to the street. When passers-by saw this pair of handsome men and beautiful women, they all glanced at them one more time, praising them as a perfect match. Hearing other people's comments, Gwen's face was instantly covered with a rosy glow, which made her appear even more alluring. As soon as they came out, he let go of her hand. When dealing with girls, you must be relaxed and moderate, not like a hungry wolf, otherwise it will easily arouse disgust of the other party. Let alone be a licking dog. Licking a dog often has no good end. After all, people tend not to cherish things that are easily available. Boys who are neither humble nor arrogant but calm and moderate are more attractive to girls. Li Xiu said with a smile, classmate, you can go to your house from here, you'll be safe, then I'll go first, see you tomorrow. Gwen froze. She didn't expect that Li Xiu would run away decisively after saving her, and she was shocked by his fast departure. Usually, when boys see her, they can't wait to talk to her a few more times. If they helped her, they would definitely take the opportunity to chat with her more. Except Li Xiu. Not playing cards according to routine at all. Li Xiu's maturity and consideration, coupled with a series of events that just happened, made Gwen have an inexplicable feeling for this boy. She couldn't help but want to know more about him. Gwen froze for a while, then stammered, okay, see you tomorrow, classmate. Li Xiu left quickly and decisively. In fact, it's not that Li Xiu is playing hard to catch, it's because he really has something to do. He also wants to pick up money from the abandoned factory near his neighborhood. Looking at Li Xiu's back, Gwen murmured, this boy seems very different from the others. Li Xiu went home first, changed his clothes, put on a mask, and blended into the dark, quickly making his way towards the abandoned factory. It is said that it is an abandoned factory near his neighborhood, but in fact it is still a long distance away. This is an abandoned industrial area, plus it is in the suburbs, so there is basically no one there. There are many abandoned factories, and many trees and miscellaneous weeds growing in them. If you search randomly, you will waste a lot of effort. So he had to use his brain a little. According to the description of the simulation, He came out for a walk after 9:30 and found it. He occasionally takes a walk here. After all, there are few people venturing here, but most of them are during the day. After all, normal people don't come to these places to hang out in the middle of the night. Therefore, the self in the simulation is likely to follow the usual path. There are only a few roads he usually takes for walks, and he should be able to find them by walking these roads once. Make up one's mind. He began to search according to the route in his memory. After some searching, at less than 9 o'clock, he found the tree and the black bag under the tree. Seeing the black bag, he rushed up with a few long strides. Opened the bag with a clatter. It's full of money in it, stacks by stacks. Looking at the bag full of money, Li Xiu smiled. Now you are mine. Immediately, he picked up the bag of money and quickly left here. Not long after Li Xiu left here, several gang members came here, and they also had a black bag in their hands. Inside this black bag is some cocaine. They are here to do the drug trade. The normal routine goes like this. The other party left the money in a specific place, and they came out later, took the money, and returned to leave the bag in place. At that time, the other party will come out and take the drug away. The two sides will not meet, in order to protect identities of both sides. People on both sides will also abide by the rules and do not peep at each other. In order not to be disturbed, they always choose places off the regular tracks, so there is basically no problem with the transaction. It's just that they didn't expect that in the middle of the night, there are still people going to this place where birds don't shit. The gang members frowned as they looked at the empty land. He left here without looking back. As for the goods in hand, they naturally took away. I haven't seen the money, so are they giving their love for nothing? Buyer said. Back home. After pouring out the whole bag, Li Xiu counted it. A full $100,000. No more, no less. Simulator is sincere? Did T bully me? Li Xiu held the money and said, with this money, I can finally eat better. After all, he has awakening spider ability now, and his body consumes more. With this money, he can live a little more comfortably. The money has been secured. Next. Just ready to simulate. Simulation time is almost here. Soon. Amidst eagerness of Li Xiu, cooldown time is up. A new simulation starts. Chapter 14, another simulation. Looking at the familiar subtitles, Li Xiu was very excited. He immediately said, yes. Please select 3 simulation abilities, and the simulation will start. Child of Fortune, gold. Optimistic, white. Short-lived ghost, white. Playing with guns, green. 20 abilities appeared in front of Li Xiu's eyes. He quickly scanned the abilities and their descriptions. Except for Child of Luck. There are also 2 blue abilities, 3 green abilities, and the rest are white abilities. Rage, green, you are easily provoked. After being provoked, your attack power will be higher. Similar to the berserker in the games, trades sanity for attack power. Cool person, green, you are a free spirit, you don't care about other people, and you have no fear. While reducing emotions, a buff equivalent to courage is added. After all, there is no fear. It is an ability with both advantages and disadvantages. If it is only aimed at the tool person in the simulation, reducing emotions is not a disadvantage, so this ability is equivalent to an ability to reduce fear. Dragon and Phoenix, green, your wife will leave a pair of twins for you. Li Xiu. This ability is a bit outrageous. How will it help him by giving birth to a dragon and phoenix? Ascetic, blue, you pursue power, and you will pursue the ultimate self through crazy penance, so as to gain more power. This ability is very suitable for cultivation. He is still developing spider ability, this power should be very good. Scholar, blue, you will have a good research ability and research spirit, which will enable you to better explore your potential. This is a research ability, and the role seems to be to explore one's own potential. Discover potential, this ability seems to be good for development of spider ability too. After reading a few abilities, Li Xiu chose 2 blue abilities, because the remaining green abilities were a bit tasteless. Rager, it's easy to be demented, and it's easy to cause a lot of trouble at that time. He needs an S rank rating, so he has to play it safe this time. The remaining 2, one is simply to increase a little courage, and the other is useless. So blue ability is the best choice. Choose the 3 abilities of Child of Luck, Ascetic, and Scholar. Simulation ability selection is complete. Start the simulation. Day 1, you start to train hard to improve your spider ability. At the same time, you start trying to discover more aspects of ability. Meanwhile, you continue to be in touch with Gwen, and the two develop some subtle feelings. Day 4, you camped outside the school, attacked Frozone who came to make trouble, and successfully got a bounty of $30,000 from the police station. Good guy. This time, facing Frozen Man, a completely different change took place. It was all good luck before, and escaped the attack of the Frozen Man. This time, he directly attacked the Frozone who had not had time to make trouble. It seems that this is the change caused by his increased strength. Before, he was an ordinary person, and he had no power to fight against the Frozone. Now, he is an extraordinary person who has deeply developed the spider ability, and facing a little villain like Frozone is simply a matter of grasping. It's just that a fierce man with the ultimate strength of 30 tons also engages in sneak attacks. Li Xiu touched his nose slightly, it was just being cautious. The best thing is that he actually got a reward of $30,000 from the police station. Day 11, you have further explored the cobweb ability. You can instantly generate a set of white cobweb battlesuits all over your body. The function is to completely cover your identity. Seeing this, Li Xiu nodded slightly. It seems that scholar ability has come into play, further developed its own cobweb ability, and can even generate a white cobweb battlesuit. With this cobweb battlesuit, he can hide his identity very well. At least when he equips it, others won't know his true face. Second month, you work hard every day, constantly tap your physical potential, and finally increase your ultimate strength to 32 tons. The fourth month, you work hard every day, constantly tap your physical potential, and finally increase your ultimate strength to 34 tons. This month, Spider-Woman came out, and you know it's Gwen. However, you are working hard every day, and the communication with Gwen is much less, which causes Gwen to spend more time on acting as a hero, and the name of Spider-Woman resounds in New York City. In 4 months, another 4 tons of power were raised. As expected of an ascetic, there is indeed something, and it is nearly impossible to extricate oneself after focusing on cultivating strength. Even a woman as seductive as Gwen can be ignored with ascetic. This patience and control is truly extraordinary. Li Xiu is quite satisfied with this. After all, the harder the simulation, the stronger he becomes. 6th month, by researching a large amount of data, you have greatly enhanced the strength of your cobweb, and you can compile a version 2.0 cobweb battlesuit that defends against general bullets and sharp blades. In addition, the structure of the cobweb battlesuit is full of theories such as structural mechanics, has a strong shock absorption ability, and can greatly eliminate the strong impact of bullets. The disadvantage is that the manufacturing time is long, and it cannot be generated instantaneously, and it takes more than 10 minutes to regenerate. Chapter 15, The 10 Rings. Reading this, Li Xiu's eyes lit up. Good guy. This scholar ability is awesome. I actually developed a cobweb suit, and also created a more powerful 2.0 version of the cobweb battlesuit. This battlesuit can not only defend against bullets and sharp blades, but also greatly eliminate the impact of bullets. Not only is the bullet incapable of penetrating his coat, but it could not injure him internally because the suit can dissipate the impact force. This battlesuit is really strong. Li Xiu looked a little greedy. This battlesuit is much stronger than modern bulletproof vests. Bulletproof vests can protect against 1 bullet at most and cannot absorb the impact force. So sometimes, even if you wear a body armor, you will still suffer a lot of internal injuries. Most importantly, this battlesuit is full body and has no weaknesses, which is much better than bulletproof vests. 7th month, you work hard every day, constantly tap your physical potential, and finally increase your ultimate strength to 37 tons. 11th month, you work hard every day, constantly tap your physical potential, and finally increase your ultimate strength to 40 tons. At the same time, you also found a problem, that is, the rate of your strength growth is starting to slow down, and your physical potential seems to be hitting the ceiling. Seeing this, Li Xiu touched his chin. Previously, it seemed that the limit strength was increased by about more than 1 ton every month. Now, it has only been 4 months to increase the 3 tons of ultimate strength, and the rate of strength growth has indeed slowed down. But this is also what Li Xiu expected. After all, Spider-Man is not a Superman, the power cannot grow endlessly, and the human body created by Spider ability also has an upper limit. I just don't know where the upper limit of Spider ability is. The 12th month, on this day, you went out for a walk and passed the Hawkin apartments on Queen Street. A fierce battle broke out here, and the police are in a crossfire against terrorists, but you know they are related to the 10 Rings. Some of them escaped in the chaos, and you quickly followed one of them, knocking them out, and grabbing a vibranium weapon. You hand them over to the police and get a $30,000 bonus. This month, you successfully entered the university. See here. Li Xiu's eyes suddenly lit up. Man, I just wander around and find a vibranium weapon? Vibranium weapons? Vibranium is the strongest metal on Earth. Using vibranium as a weapon is basically the best one could ask for on the planet. If he can get the vibranium weapon, it will greatly increase his attack power. You can pick up a weapon just by walking around. It seems that the child of luck has come into effect again. Li Xiu murmured. Hawkin Apartments on Queen Street, 10 Rings Organization. He remembered the place's name by heart. The 10 Rings, the terrorist organization that kidnapped Iron Man before. However, it was cleaned by Iron Man in Iron Man 3, but he didn't know that the Mandarin there was a fake one. It makes sense for this group to have a vibranium weapon. After all, it is still a very powerful organization. Since the 10 Rings are lurking here, they may have already lurked in it in reality. If so, the vibranium weapon might be with them. After the simulation is over, he can go to the Hawkin Apartments to have a look. If you are lucky, you might be able to get back a top vibranium weapon. Thinking of this, Li Xiu's mouth curled slightly. In the end, the action of exchanging the reward money is to his demeanor. One should never waste resources. Wasting is the most shameful act. Looking at the time, Li Xiu's eyes flashed. He managed to survive the 11th month. He was not killed by the motherland in the 11th month. It seems that he should have guessed right. The reason why the last simulation would be killed should be that something went wrong with Queen Maeve. This time, he avoided the meeting, avoided the communication with the two, and successfully escaped the killing of the motherland. Li Xiu grinned triumphantly, comfortable. 13th month, Spider-Man also turned out to be the new superhero in New York City. In a misunderstanding, he treats you as a criminal and shoots you. The terrifying power you showed shocked him, and the misunderstanding was resolved. He regarded you as an idol and often asked you for advice. Peter is too enthusiastic, and you usually don't pay much attention to Gwen. Gwen is a little jealous and decides to have Cold War with you. Li Xiu murmured. In the 13th month, Spider-Man was born. Spider-Man was born at this time, indicating that he had only acquired ability not long ago, and his power should not exceed 10 tons at most. In the face of him, an old-fashioned spider who has excavated his ultimate strength to 40 tons, he is naturally not an opponent. Seeing that Gwen was jealous at the end, Li Xiu couldn't help but shake his head. I love my work but my wife is jealous. This is the price of hard work. The 15th month, you work hard every day, constantly tap your physical potential, and finally increase your ultimate strength to 43 tons. You also want to further explore the potential of cobweb. You want to build as compact weapon using cobwebs by hardening them, but you have ultimately failed to make progress. In 4 months, the ultimate strength has been increased by 3 tons. He even wanted to use cobweb in hardened form as a weapon, which was a bit unexpected to Li Xiu. If cobweb can be hardened, then he can condense a weapon as hard as iron at any time. That would greatly increase his lethality. Condense a sharp blade at any time and easily harvest other people's lives. Or shoot the hard and thin cobweb, it will be a lightning-fast hidden weapon. Just like those cultivation novels in the East where long and thin needles are used as weapons, the kill is quick and precise and is very difficult to avoid. According to the description of the simulation, this hardening should be an advanced stage for usage of cobweb. Chapter 16, Death Kiss. It is a pity that he failed because of insufficient level of scientific research as well as lack of scientific and technological knowledge. Li Xiu touched his chin and thought. When did he ever have the capability for scientific research or technological intelligence? These are the credits of the scholar ability. So, in essence, the ability of scholar is not enough, and it is impossible to develop a more powerful and advanced cobweb. After all, it's just a blue ability, and it may even be a low tier one. So it is definitely not suitable for long-time researches. It is already very powerful to be able to develop the 2.0 version of the cobweb armor. 16th month. In order to nurture your feelings to a greater level, Gwen moved in with you. You still want to keep practicing asceticism. It's just that Gwen is too beautiful and moving, you can't resist the temptation of beauty after all. 17th month. After spending a long time in 24*7 warfare, Gwen discovered that your physique is beyond ordinary people and knows that you are definitely a person with special abilities like her. You can only come clean and show your ability. More than 40 tons of power terrified Gwen. You confess your identities to each other, and you both know each other's spider ability. Gwen has only 13 tons of ultimate strength, and your spider ability has developed to such a great level terrifies her. After 17 months, Gwen's strength has grown to the limit of 13 tons, but compared to him, it is indeed a lot worse. No wonder Gwen was shocked. Month 19, your combat skills have entered a bottleneck period, and it is difficult to go any further in ordinary combat. You can only focus on improving your physical strength and continue to practice asceticism. 20th month, you work hard every day, constantly tap your physical potential, and finally increase your ultimate strength to 46 tons. Once again, you feel that strength growth has slowed down again. It took 5 months to increase the strength of 3 tons. It's getting harder and harder to improve. At the same time, his combat skills have also reached a bottleneck. 21st month, Loki led the space fleet to invade New York City. In order to protect yourself, you put on the cobweb battlesuit and joined the war. You use your powerful strength and top fighting skills to kill on the battlefield, but in the end you are also seriously injured. To the end, your white cobweb battlesuit turns into a bloody red battlesuit. Your tyrannical and ruthless style of play and bloody battlesuit has deeply penetrated people's hearts. This war made you famous all over the world, and people called you the Bloody Death God. In this massive fight, your fighting skills have been further sublimated to a greater level. In the 21st month, the story of the Avenger movie happened. Loki invades Earth with a cosmic fleet under the instructions of Thanos. Through this war, his combat skills broke through the bottleneck and sublimated to the greater level, which can be regarded as the top one in hand-to-hand combat. At this level, just relying on fighting skills, he can kill more than a dozen top fighting masters. He has long since surpassed Kingpin and can fight dozens of him together. After more than 30 months of simulation, he finally reached this point. What level should I call my abilities? Master level sounds good. In summary, he has stabilized his strength to utilize it effectively in a fight. Li Xiu smiled slightly. 24th month, Spider Queen Soria turns Spider-Man into a spider monster. You have defeated Spider-Man, and your prestige in the country is even greater. Spider-Man sheds his skin and turns back into a human. 25th month, you work hard every day, constantly tap your physical potential, and finally increase your ultimate strength to 49 tons. Spider Queen Soria uses Spider-Man's shed skin to develop spider flu. 26th month, the Spider Queen controls countless spiders to attack humans, spreading spider flu, and countless people become spider monsters. With the help of thousands of spider monsters, the Spider Queen has grown wildly in strength. She grabs you and kisses you, you become an irrational spider monster, and you start slaughtering in New York City. The Spider Queen likes you very much and calls you the Spider King. You are always lucky. You finally succeeded in resisting the spider virus, molted and successfully shed the skin, and regained your senses. With this metamorphosis, your strength has skyrocketed to 60 tons, and your potential has skyrocketed. The Spider Queen caught you again, kissed you, and wanted to turn you back into a spider monster, but unfortunately you have resistance. The Spider Queen gets angry and kills you. This simulation is over. The number of simulation days is 26 months, and the cooldown time is 26 hours. Evaluation level, S. When the simulation level reaches S, you can solidify a golden level or an ability below a golden level. Please choose to inherit an ability. The inherited ability will definitely appear in the next simulation. Save the current strength to the host. Next moment. His huge harvest of this simulation poured into Li Xiu's body and mind. 60 tons of ultimate strength. Potential spider ability, A/N, didn't know what this was. Version 2.0 Cobweb Armor? Master level fighting skills. Boom! A huge force poured into Li Xiu's body. His physical strength is skyrocketing. The dangerous aura on him is also skyrocketing. Every cell is strengthening rapidly, holding a frightening level of power in them. Soon, Li Xiu's body has a terrifying explosive power of 60 tons, which is enough to tear apart armored tanks. The current Li Xiu is completely worthy of the title of humanoid Tyrannosaurus. At the same time, an invisible power changes his each and every cell, evolving them, and his potential is also rising. Chapter 17, Testing. At this moment, the transmission of the strength is complete. He has now evolved to a greater level. The ceiling of Li Xiu's ultimate strength and overall physique has reached a new level. Li Xiu could clearly feel the explosive power contained in his body. The terrifying 60-ton ultimate power was blessed on him in an instant, making him feel as if he could tear everything apart. Definitely, this is just an illusion due to the sudden surge of power. He could also feel that his reactions were sharper and his movements were more flexible and quick. Subsequently, a large number of memories flooded into his mind, carved deeply into his mind and muscles. Part of this is regarding the master-level fighting skills. Another part is about the creation process of Cobweb Armor 2.0. Li Xiu realized the master-level fighting skills in his mind, which were of a higher than his previous fighting skills. It seemed to have reached the state of perfection where all the fighting skills have been integrated and can be used to a greater level with minimum movement. Now, if he goes back to the black boxing competition again, with the power of ordinary people, even if a dozen of top fighters come at him at once, he can kill them all easily. Under the blessing of such fighting skills, each limb of his body is an unparalleled killing weapon. Subsequently, he also realized the structure of the cobweb armor in his mind. For the usage of cobweb, Li Xiu in the simulation has evolved twice. On his first try, he was able to secrete cobweb with 10 fingers. And this time, the 1.0 version of the cobweb battlesuit was created. Let cobweb simply cover the whole body to form a cobweb battlesuit. At this stage, the construction of the cobweb battlesuit is still very simple, and there is not much design and structure, so it can be built very quickly. He remembers that in a certain Marvel world, a female superhero named Cindy Moon designed her first suit in the same way. 2 copyrights. She also secreted cobweb from her fingers, and then created a simple organic webbing battlesuit for herself which covered majority of her body. She was stronger than the normal Spider-Man, definitely. If it's a version of Spider-Man from certain comics, it's another matter. After all, as we all know, the guys like Spider-Man and Iron Man are all shrouded in the aura of the protagonist, and their strength cannot be calculated by common sense. After the second evolution of organic webbing, Li Xiu has been able to secrete cobwebs from every part of his body. Definitely, only the cobweb secreted by the hands is the most sprayable, and the cobweb secreted by other parts in the body is not extremely sprayable, but it is indeed helpful for constructing the advanced cobweb battlesuit. Because it can form a battlesuit covering the whole body faster, and it is more efficient and practical. Comprehending the use of cobweb to such a degree, he should be regarded as the first person with spider ability. Definitely, it is nearly impossible to develop the use of cobweb to this point. According to common sense, it is impossible to do it with a normal spider ability. But he is special. He has a life simulator, a scholar ability to play an effect. Ignoring common sense, it has been able to forcibly raise the level of his cobweb secretion, and strengthen his cobwebs. It can only be said that the abilities in the simulator are really something. The second evolution of cobweb usage. At this time, the release of the 1.0 version of the battlesuit can be achieved in an instant. At the same time, because of the more flexible cobweb secretion, he can create more complex battlesuits. And the 2.0 version of the cobweb battlesuit can resist general bullets, blades, and can also dissipate power of impacts. However, because the structure is more complex, it takes more than 10 minutes to create such a battlesuit. His mind moved. Countless cobwebs flew out of the body and instantly intertwined into a set of white cobweb battlesuits. Pure white as snow, looking like a live mummy, even completely covering up his true face. This version of the cobweb battlesuit can clearly see the traces of imperfect interlocking of the cobweb, not so beautiful in appearance and neither has any special effects. As soon as he thought about it, these cobwebs fell apart, revealing their true body. The cobweb that fell to the ground was completely dissipated after a while. He then started building the version 2.0. Stronger cobwebs flew out one by one, like butterflies intertwined on him, layer upon layer, creating a fascinating scene. Very detailed cobweb operation. It took around 15 minutes. An all-new cobweb battlesuit was wrapped around his entire body. This battlesuit has no trace of cobweb at all, just like a real microfiber skin-tight spider battlesuit. There is also a spider symbol on the chest, but it is a pure white version, full of coldness, like a ruthless killer. Look at the battlesuit in the mirror. The corners of Li Xiu's mouth twitched slightly. Not to mention, the appearance of this battlesuit is a bit cool and handsome. It also has an amazing defensive capability. He picked up the knife from the side and slashed at himself. Whoosh! It moved like lightning, and the speed was extremely fast. Only after images and flashes of cold light could be seen. Click. The knife broke directly, and the fragments flew out. Psst! It was nailed directly to the wooden table, and it made a vibrating hum. Looking at the battlesuit again, there was not even a mark left on it. Chapter 18, Unexpected Happiness. Seeing this, Li Xiu nodded in satisfaction. Not bad. The version 1.0 is suitable for regular use for hiding his identity. After all, it can be instantly cast, which is very convenient. Version 2.0 battlesuit is suitable for fighting against strong enemies. If you want to fight against strong enemies, you can construct this battlesuit in advance. But I don't know, maybe the speed of construction can be improved by practicing later. 15 minutes is still a bit too long. There are 2 battlesuits, each with its pros and cons. Li Xiu licked his lips. If he could draw a more powerful research ability, the purple or even gold advanced version of Scholar's ability. So what will happen to his spider ability? Will his battlesuit continue to evolve to a greater level? Thinking of this, Li Xiu was full of anticipation. This simulation has been really rewarding, with a huge increase in power and potential, improved fighting skills as well as evolution of the use of cobweb and 2 new cobweb battlesuits, and the whereabouts of a vibranium weapon, Hawk-in apartments. After calculating all the gains, his attention finally turned to the final stage of the simulation. He looked carefully at the written description. After the story of the Avengers, a supervillain appeared in New York City, the Spider Queen. The other party directly ended his simulation journey. Especially seeing the other party kissing him forcefully, falling in love with him, and naming him the Spider King, he was quite distressed. Li Xiu's mouth twitched slightly. Really, is being handsome a sin? Last time, Queen Maeve saw him and wanted to make an appointment with him. This time, a Spider Queen came out and fell in love with him, and named him the Spider King. Li Xiu was speechless. However, this incident, he is not completely at loss. After turning into a spider monster, his good luck was activated again, and he finally automatically cracked the spider flu and became immune to it. After successfully performing the spider molting, his ultimate strength was directly raised by 11 tons. The potential of the spider ability has also been raised again, letting him continue to grow to a stronger stage. The spider flu could be cracked here should be credited to Child of Luck that must have come into effect. It's just a pity that the Spider Queen fell in love with him and wanted him to be her king. After he was immune to the virus, she killed him directly in anger for rejecting her love. This bitch. Spider-Man also became immune before, but I didn't see her chasing and killing him. Switching over to him, even if she fell in love, she won't be a Yandere, right? Spider Queen Soria. Seeing this, Li Xiu had a slight toothache. He remembered that she was a mutant with a strong spider ability. One of the important abilities was that more spider monsters under her control, the stronger her power would be. Using the spider flu to turn countless ordinary people into powerful spider monsters, these spider monsters will sacrifice a part of their power to the Spider Queen. In the end, the power of the Spider Queen will reach an unimaginable level. With his spider ability of 60 tons of extreme power, he is not an opponent at all and can be easily killed by her. Li Xiu laughed directly. 60 tons of extreme strength, the armored tanks can be flattened instantly, but it is still not enough to stand against a supervillain. As expected of the Marvel world, it is indeed dangerous. However, this was also a blessing in disguise, as the power was directly raised from 49 tons to 60 tons. At the end of this simulation, he increased his ultimate strength by 30 tons. You know, the normal Spider-Man has strength of 15 tons to 25 tons. He now has almost 3 times the strength of the normal Spider-Man. More importantly, his potential has also been improved, and he can continue to tap into his physical potential later. Thinking of this, he felt a little more comfortable. Li Xiu touched his chin. It seems that the next simulation, starting from the 24th month, he will have to sneak out of New York City in order to avoid this crazy woman. After all, he is immune to spider flu, and this thing can no longer have any effect on him. If you stay, you will only be persecuted by the Spider Queen. When the Spider Queen is taken care of by the other superheroes, he'll be back. Next, it is the assimilating an ability. This time, the simulation has been rated S, so he can finally solidify the golden ability Child of Luck. Thinking of this, Li Xiu's heart burst into endless joy. After this curing, he can have this golden ability. This will affect him in reality. Most importantly, according to the system, the cured ability cannot affect the trend of Sims, but it does not say that it cannot affect the appearing abilities. That is, the random abilities that may appear can be influenced by his Child of Luck. In other words, that is to say, Child of Luck may affect the random abilities that may appear. So he asked the system to confirm his suspicion. The system also gave an affirmative answer. If Child of Luck is cured, it can affect the random ability's appearance, but the effect will be reduced, because the simulator's level is too high, so it will affect the performance of Child of Luck. Although there will be some influence, it is harmless in Li Xiu's view. As long as he can increase the chance of random high-order abilities, he is very satisfied. After he solidifies Child of Luck, high-level abilities will be easier to come out, and it will no longer be like before, where majority is white or green abilities, and even 1 or 2 blue abilities are difficult to come out. The subsequent simulations can pop up a purple or golden abilities, whose chance according to his gaming experience in the previous life may even be 0.01%. Li Xiu opened the mouth and said, "Solidify Child of Luck." Chapter 19, Jealousy. Solidify golden ability Child of Luck. Solidified successfully, Child of Luck enters a random state, and may randomly appear in the list of simulation abilities in the future. Next moment. In the dark, a golden light flowed from the void and submerged and integrated into Li Xiu's body, forming a golden halo around him. Li Xiu's body exudes a faint golden light, with flowing clouds and a solemn appearance, like a god descending upon the world. But soon, the light disappeared, the clouds dissipated, and Li Xiu returned to his normal appearance. Li Xiu saw this scene through the mirror and clicked his tongue slightly. Dude, is this the consequence of solidifying the golden ability? There was even a vision like those cultivation novels. None of this happened when he solidified the purple ability. It is indeed the worthy top-level ability. However, Li Xiu himself didn't feel any different, and his body didn't seem to have any changes. After the completion of solidification, next is to choose an ability to inherit. He now has choice between 2 abilities that he can inherit, Scholar or Ascetic. Compared with Ascetic, this simulation of Scholar brought him a greater effect. However, in the last round of simulation, Scholar had reached the limit and could no longer improve his spider ability. Only higher-level research abilities can be of help to him. Therefore, if he wants to continue to improve the spider ability, Scholar is useless, and it is not as effective as Ascetic. After all, the Ascetic will slightly increase his strength growth rate because of his hard training. So according to common sense, he should choose the ability Ascetic, but Li Xiu's eyes flashed. Although the potential of the spider ability has been boosted, but soon, the consumption of that potential will definitely be finished, and it will be difficult to go any further. So he must continue to look for ways to increase his strength. Furthermore, the spider ability is not perfect. Only the physical strength is stronger than that of ordinary people. If he is cut by a knife, there will still be wounds. The physical regeneration ability is indeed stronger than ordinary people, but it is only stronger compared to ordinary people. Compared with those guys who can regenerate limbs at will, it is still too rubbish. For example, the lizard medicine developed by Dr. Curtis can regenerate the limbs, but the side effects are too great, and the person will turn into a lizard. But if this shortcoming can be overcome, the lizard medicine can become the greatest in medicine field. So in the next round, he will look for other ways to enhance his strength. At that time, in the face of other abilities, Scholar will be able to play his role again such that it may be able to overcome side effects of lizard medicine. Li Xiu said immediately, "I choose to inherit Scholar. Inherit the blue ability Scholar. In the next simulation this ability will definitely appear." Li Xiu looked at the cooling time again. 25 months worth time was simulated this time, so the cooldown was 25 hours. So the next simulation will be a day later. Li Xiu opened the curtains and looked out the window. The night sky is clear, and a full moon hangs high. The moonlight sprinkled on Li Xiu's body, making him look colder and more alienated. Li Xiu quietly admired the bright moon. Because of the simulator, in just 2 days, he has changed from an ordinary person to a humanoid tyrannosaurus who can tear tanks by hand, with a maximum strength of 60 tons, and can also fly over the buildings and walls. All this changed so fast that it made him feel a little unreal. He squeezed his fist, and the explosive force from his hand dispelled some unreal feelings. He let out a slight sigh full of complex emotions, as if spitting out anxiety. The powerful strength constantly pouring out of his body finally gave him a sense of security. However, Li Xiu understands that this power is not enough. If he wants to be truly safe, he must continue to become stronger. Through the simulator, he has to continue to become stronger and stronger. Thinking of this, Li Xiu's eyes became more determined. Tomorrow he'll have a look at the Hawkin Flats. If someone from the 10 Rings is already lurking there, he can directly take that vibranium weapon. This weapon made of the strongest metal on Earth is undoubtedly the most suitable weapon for him. Li Xiu quietly watched the bright moon hanging high for a while, then went to bed and fell asleep. The next day, Li Xiu went to school as usual. He sat quietly in his seat, thinking about the Hawkin apartment. After a match of basketball while sitting in a corner, a pleasant voice sounded beside him. "Li, good morning, you played so well today." Li Xiu looked up and was greeted by a delicate and charming face beauty with a perfect figure. He couldn't help but glance down. He must say, Gwen is a girl with perfect proportions. The gentle attitude breaks his last defenses. Seeing Li Xiu's eyes, Gwen blushed slightly. Composing herself she snorted lightly, interrupting Li Xiu's fantasy. Li Xiu raised his head without any expression, with a pure look on his face. He swears he definitely didn't mean to stare at Gwen's figure. He tried to resist but his eyes didn't obey, and he looked at it subconsciously. Gwen with red cheeks rolled up the soft hair beside her ears, handed Li Xiu a bottle of water, and said generously, Li, take this bottle of water as a thanks for yesterday, humph. Li Xiu didn't refuse either. Only by going back and forth can they deepen their feelings. And refusing also seems petty, not along his temperament. When the people around saw Gwen delivering water, their eyes almost popped out. Shit, my goddess was captured by Li so soon. It's only been a day since we all met. Water is already being delivered. My goddess Gwen is gone. Definitely, there are also girls who are full of sourness. This whore has actually made a move on my dear future husband. From today I am at odds with her. Chapter 20, When you are not a porn star. The atmosphere in the surroundings was suddenly sour. The boys were jealous because of Gwen. After all, on the second day after the goddess came, she was already offering water. Their young hearts broke instantly. Clink. The girls were jealous because of Li Xiu. After all, Li Xiu is very handsome, and almost all the girls in the class liked him. After all, they were all high schoolers. Everyone is very simple, just look at the face. Seeing such a beautiful girl as Gwen go to deliver water, their hearts were in pain, and for the first time they felt that the person they like is going to be robbed. Li Xiu took the water. I am honored to be served by a beauty. Gwen was happy when she heard it. A wide smile broke out on her face. If you need anything in the future, you can find me. I will try my best to help you. Li Xiu nodded slightly. Okay. The two laughed and chatted for a while. The familiarity of the two made the people around them depressed, and the mood fell down further. They now have no chance. Time flies. 10 years later, Li Xiu opened up a company. Gwen gave birth to 3 children. They were named Hori, Thirsty and Heinies. 1 year later Li Xiu dies by an accident. Gwen remarries Flash. Happy ever after Flash x Gwen. The end. T/N was just irritated by the usage of time flies for skip a few hours slightly smiling face. After school, Li Xiu rushed towards the Queens. As a humble Chinese person, instead of flying over the rooftops and walking over the wall, he took the subway. New York is still huge. Li Xiu traveled for an hour and finally came to Queen Street. He crossed a few streets and alleys and finally came to what the simulation said was the Hawkin apartment T/L. I should have used Red Hook according to comics, but it will pass fast. The neighborhood had an ancient touch to it. Old and withered by time. It was extremely ordinary and inconspicuous when placed between these buildings. He did not enter the apartment immediately. Instead, he found a higher and hidden place around, and then observed the situation of each household from the outside. Li Xiu held binoculars and looked at the Hawkin apartments. He only needs to look through the window, filter out those rooms that he thinks are strange, and narrow the scope of the investigation. Otherwise, going directly into each room and checking one by one, not to mention the inefficiency of the search, but it is easy to cause others to be vigilant. If people from the Ten Rings organization were really inside, it would be easy to startle the snake by doing such an investigation. Li Xiu watched from house to house, observed for over an hour. Finally, 3 rooms that he obviously felt strange were screened out. In these rooms, the curtains are tightly closed, and 2 of them occasionally open a small gap in the curtains, revealing one eye to look outside. After filtering, Li Xiu took action. He put on a new outfit, a suit for plumbing, and walked into the nodding apartment T/N, memes here. He rang the bell if the first room. Ding dong dang. Soon, the door opened. A plump mature woman with flaming red lips opened the door, wearing a thin layer of pajamas. Seeing Li Xiu, her eyes lit up. She smiled and said, "What's going on?" Li Xiu picked up the toolbox. "I'm from the water department. The water downstairs is leaking. I suspect it's your problem upstairs. I have come to check it." Definitely, this was Li Xiu's excuse. He wanted to take the opportunity to enter the room and take a look to see if there was anything unusual in the room. The mature woman nodded and said with a smile, "Okay, come in and have a look." After speaking, she opened the door and let Li Xiu walk in. After Li Xiu entered the room, his eyes floated around. Check out the questionable items in the room. Peng! The door was closed by the mature woman. Li Xiu went into the kitchen and bathroom to check carefully, plus the situation in the living room. Li Xiu found nothing unusual. The mature woman followed him closely and licked her red lips. "Is there a problem? Little handsome guy, I'll go down and see." But in order not to arouse suspicion, he still got into the kitchen sewer and pretended to check it. It turned out to be leaking. All he had to do was fix it himself. At this time, the mature woman also bent down, revealing a proud figure. Li Xiu glanced at it, his expression unchanged, and continued to repair. The mature woman said softly and charmingly, "Do you want to help, handsome guy? I can do it." Li Xiu moved quickly and finished the repair quickly. He didn't change his face, and slowly climbed out. "There's nothing wrong with your house. I'll go downstairs and take a look. By the way, the maintenance fee is $200. After laboring, Li Xiu will naturally charge." The mature woman's voice was soft, and she said with a smile, "Will the handsome guy not look at it anymore? Look carefully to avoid any future problems." Li Xiu's face was cold. He was here on business. Do you think he's a messy maintenance worker? Temptress? Li Xiu's expression didn't change. "No discount, cash." The mature woman's face froze. After collecting the $200, Li Xiu left the room without looking back. The mature woman rolled her eyes. Maybe he was an eunuch. Li Xiu had already left. He also tested. "No problem with this one. The reason why the mature woman closed the curtains was probably sleeping or something. Li Xiu moved on to the next room. Ding dong dang. The door opened. Li Xiu's pupils shrank slightly when he saw the other party, because he knew this man, and he was very familiar with it. Captain America. Captain America saw Li Xiu and smiled. Brother, you are hot and sweating profusely. Li Xiu said with a smile, I just repaired the water pipe for another household, and I sweated a little. You have a leak downstairs, and I suspect it is the cause of your upstairs. So I want to go into your house and find out. After entering, he found that it was Captain America's home, and the furnishings inside were exactly the same as in the movie. And there are some moving boxes on the ground. Looks like they just moved in. In this way, Captain America didn't wake up for a long time. When he knew that this was Captain America's house, Li Xiu understood that there should be no problem here. The reason why Captain America closed the curtains and checked occasionally was that he had not woken up for a long time, and he was still keeping the vigilance and habit he had before the war, and he was accustomed to hiding himself. He pretended a little and left immediately. Came to the last house. Ding dong dang. Behind the door, a somewhat fierce voice sounded. Who is it? What are you doing? He repeated his excuse again. The other party didn't open the door and said, we don't have any problems here, we just checked the water pipes this afternoon. Hearing this, Li Xiu narrowed his eyes slightly. This is suspicious. He continued knocking on the door. Snapped. The door opened, revealing an impatient face. I said it? No problem? I just checked again and it's definitely not our house's problem. Li Xiu's eyes twitched slightly. With the help of strong eyesight, he could see at a glance that there was a tattoo with 10 rings connected to the D part of the other's sleeve. If it weren't for his strong eyesight, it would be difficult for ordinary people to notice that tattoo under the sleeves. That's the mark of the 10 rings.